This segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your partner is good health. All right, welcome back to Bayou Time. I'm Martin False. We have the good senator up here, Mike Fazy, and there he is. Good to see you, Senator. How are you?
Good to see you, Martin. Doing well.
All right. Let's do this because, of course, the governor calls the legislature into a 3-week special session on elections. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry has summoned the Louisiana legislature for a 3-week special session starting next week to address next year's election plans. Special session will begin Thursday, October 23rd, and end, which I'll always like to see, end no later than November 13th. Lawmakers will be allowed to file bills related to election code, election dates, election deadlines, and election plans for the 2026 election cycle and funding bills related to those items. So, Senator, let's talk and try to educate the public a little bit. It all sounds good, but what's the overall plan and what are we trying to do here?
Well, what we're trying to do is, since the Supreme Court hadn't made a decision, anybody who wants to run for a congressional district has to be qualified by mid-January of that year, like it would be mid-January 26. Mm-hmm. And without a complete decision from the Supreme Court and not knowing whether the districts are going to change, one of the main things they want to do in this special session is move that qualifying date back. And by moving it back, it gives us more time to hopefully the Supreme Court will come to a decision. And if we have to go ahead and do a new map, it gives you time to know who's going to be in what district or what congressional district.
Doesn't that wreak havoc when you're talking about not calling the special session? Somebody wants to run for a race not knowing, especially if they're not a gazillionaire and they have to spend money. They're trying to figure out where they're going to be. It creates a lot of havoc.
Well, don't mark me to my word, but I don't think you have to live in the congressional district to run for that district. But it automatically helps because that's people of common knowledge to you and everything else. Right. But what's happened with this district that was put together for this second minority district, it stretches from New Orleans all the way to Shreveport. And that doesn't really follow the true rules of redistricting.
You know, now Terrebonne Parish moving westward, but if you look at, let's bring that map up, Jay. There we are now. We're in the blue on the bottom. But of course, if you're in Thibodaux's got to cater to a lot more people. And then, Scalise's district and Higgins's district at this point, Troy Carter. And if you go back, we used to have to go east in our plan. There we were in the red section. So it's a total flip-flop for especially Terrebonne Parish. Thibodaux's been always having to cater quite a bit. But the Supreme Court, in some of their rulings, conservative justices who make up the court's majority seem sympathetic to arguments made by Louisiana Solicitor General Benjamin Aquanaga in President Donald Trump's administration. They argued the consideration of race in the redistricting process violates constitutional requirements that people are treated equally regardless of race. That was a big deal, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's I didn't vote for that new district the way it was because it was gerrymandered from New Orleans, like I said, all the way to Shreveport. And I voted against it because it doesn't follow the true rules of what a district is supposed to be. And so, because you try to get it to where the common people of the area all need the same common needs. I mean, you think the needs of the people in Shreveport are the same needs of the ones in New Orleans?
Right. And especially in our coastal areas. We've had you on last week or a couple of weeks to talk about our coastline and different things, but unless we can get people in the Shreveport or Bossier area really excited about coastal projects, it's a whole different animal. They're talking about something else.
That goes back to common need. There's
Right.
no common need there, and that's what we're supposed to do is keep people in what we call a compact district, to where that it would all be common needs.
Well, that would be neat. Any idea what people are pushing for right now? I mean, I know y'all all talking in the lunchroom or behind the scenes, and not to give up any secrets, but is that what we're talking about, compacting those districts?
Yes, I mean that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, that's if we want to do it correctly. Hopefully, the Supreme Court will come back with a decision to go exactly what the rules state.
Does it change the amount of representatives we have, or does it stay the same?
Well, that goes about the population of the state, and we've lost population. Is why I think we used to have 7 congressional districts and had to drop to 6. Now, if we can get our economic growth back and start growing population again, hopefully we can get another congressional district eventually.
Yeah, any thoughts about, and we could talk more about this in the next segment, but seems like we always get our vote out early and there's no suspense in Louisiana. Why can't we be there on election night?
Well, that would be the thing, and hopefully we come back without all this early voting, and the mail-in ballots need to be just the ones who really need it, like the military and all that sort of thing, instead of all how we've changed voting totally.
Let's do this. We'll take a break. We're going to come right back with Senator Mike Fazy. We're going to spend some time on this redistricting plan because it's important and you need to know it. We'll be back. This segment was brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your partner is good health. All right, welcome back. We're with Senator Mike Fazy. We're talking about the special session, and it has to do with the redistricting of, Louisiana. And of course, depending on the outcome of the case coming up, Louisiana could redraw its congressional boundaries to reduce or eliminate the number of majority of black districts. Currently, 2 of Louisiana's 6 congressional districts are majority black. So I would imagine every time this comes up, and of course we always invite anybody to come on and talk about this, but the African American caucus, or the Black Caucus as they call it, they're going to be vocal about this. What are you hearing? And I know when y'all get in these committee meetings and everybody starts talking about talking points and different things, you got to hear everybody out. But I guess at the end of the day, it all gets back most of the time to Washington. Whoever controls the politics controls the narrative, right?
Correct. And I guess the way you have to look at it is, I go back to the common good of the people in the area. If no matter what race you are, to me, we're all the same folks. We all need to come together and be who we are as an area. Our lifestyles from here to Shreveport change. So I think that we need to understand that we can't just go and gerrymander all the way through the state to make a district just so some one person gets elected. And because I think that falls against the rules and regulations.
Haven't we seen nationally, though, Senator, that we've seen the different races, they don't necessarily band together. They want their own voice or want to argue within their own races to make their race better. In other words, they debate each other now, whereas in the past, they would sort of coalesce together. But now, they're okay because you see a lot of the young African-American vote moving over to Republican and doing different things. So I think everybody's sort of in a different political arena than they were 3 or 4 years ago.
Exactly. I mean, look, we got to use common sense when it comes to what our goals are. And lately, the last 4 or 5 years, the goals have been totally to the wrong direction. I mean, right now we're fighting, paying, for illegals' health care. That's your taxpayer money. We got to learn to fight back on those issues, and that's what's happening. And so a lot of people are waking up. I mean, it's going to be a big wake-up call for this next election.
Yeah, and we talk about that a lot. It's also about educating the people also. And I've said this way before. A big argument I used to hear in Terrebonne Parish was that we could never elect an African-American judge. Well, we did, Juan Pickett. And, of course, a lot of people would say, well, but nobody ran against him. And I used to think nobody ran against him because he was qualified. He was qualified to hold the position. And so I think the more we bond together as races, there are qualified people to run. And you're right, it doesn't matter what race they belong to as long as they're qualified and can handle the position.
That's the whole thing. You can't promote somebody even in a business just because of their color if they're not qualified. Mm-hmm. That business goes broke because they're not qualified, whether they're white, green, orange, whatever. But mm-hmm. the thing about it is I think we're as a society, we're waking up that really doesn't make a difference because we've had a lot of minorities elected in a lot of positions that's doing a great job, mm-hmm. Especially Juan Pickett. I mean, who would have beat him in that race? Mm-hmm. Nobody.
Oh, no, he's
they didn't waste their time.
Right, right. He's as solid as you get. Is there still a lot of, I don't know if infighting's the aggressive debate in Baton Rouge over this, or has it calmed down any now, or is it still as intense as it was years ago?
Well, I think it's calmed down a lot. I mean, because a lot of people are waking up. I mean, it's been a challenge. The 6 years I've been there, I've seen it lighten up quite a bit, and I think that we're moving in the right direction. Because, like you said, you got a lot of minorities switching to the Republican Party because they don't want to pay the illegals their tax dollars either. Because it's one of those things that you take away from the hardworking taxpayers to pay somebody who hadn't earned anything, just doesn't resonate in those directions.
Yeah, and it used to be, I remember the big thing, and a lot of people went with President Obama back in the day because they thought he would actually be the savior for a lot of people in African American communities. But even African Americans at that point were saying, "You really didn't do nothing for us." But then a guy like Trump comes in and starts doing things. So I think from a voter standpoint, too, they're looking at the candidates different. They don't look at race as much as they used to. They look at who can back up what they say.
Correct. And not only that, a big deal there is that if they're watching the propaganda all day long or listening to it, they tend to make the wrong decisions. And what I suggest everybody, find the facts out for yourself. Go in, dig in deep, and really learn. Teach yourself.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Let's take a break. We'll come back with our final segment. The senator right here in our area, Mike Fazee. Don't go away. This segment was brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. All right, welcome back. Martin Falls with Senator Mike Fazee. We're going to wrap things up with another 7 minutes with the good senator. We're talking about all this redistricting, and we've been covering this for a long time. I get confused. Sometimes I got to rethink about where my district is. It changes, and it confuses people. But whatever happens in this special session coming up is going to have nationwide implications. And it's good to know Louisiana is recognized for something, but this could become controversial, couldn't it?
Yes, I mean, let's go back to the founding fathers. They never intended for judges to tell legislatures, the state governments on how they're going to redistrict their states. Mm-hmm. And that's what causes all this complication when judges step in and start making their own decision with their own political thoughts and not doing what the law says. Mm-hmm.
Isn't it? God, that's changed. I remember been doing this 40 years. In the early days, judges didn't, judges sort of did their thing and followed the law and did it. Now and I'm not saying all judges, we have some great judges around here, but politics seems to be infiltrating into every aspect of everything.
Correct. I mean, that's the whole reason we had to redraw the district that's in controversy, is because we were demanded by the court that we needed a second minority district. So the only way to get that district to be where it's going to be a minority was gerrymander it from New Orleans all the way to Shreveport. And then by doing that, a lot of us knew it wasn't the way the rules called for, but we were, following the judge's orders, and that's how it went down. And now here we are again, proving that gerrymandering it needs to go out the window.
Any idea, any gut? I know I ask you this a lot, but it's like I'm trying to get in that closed door meeting to find out what's going on. But any idea of where this is going to go? I mean,
well, I think if the Supreme Court does the correct decision would be to say you got to quit gerrymandering by race. And any gerrymander whatsoever, maybe lose some common boundaries, whether it's a highway or a bayou or river or whatever, you don't want, if people on two different sides of a river and no bridges, they don't need to be voting in the same district.
Right.
So those are the commonalities that you're supposed to use to redistrict something. And if this takes place, I think you're going to see every state start redistricting their maps right away.
And in a way, doesn't this sort of force everyone to think about getting along with the other races? Because if we always put blacks against whites, against Hispanics now, and against the Indian population, we're always going to be fighting against each other. But everybody has to get in a room together and decide what's good. And look, there's going to be some minority races where somebody stands out and they become on a national platform, like Candace Owens and all those who really have it together, they're going to stand out regardless.
Well, if you look at the far left, the thing is, the way you conquer it is to get us to divide. If we come together like we should and take all of the politics out of it, but come together for the common good of everybody here, then all of a sudden they lose from hands down because they don't have a chance. But the only way to conquer someone is to divide them.
And I know there's going to be somebody in the audience that disagrees with that. We always invite them on. I always tell them, come on by your time. We'll be glad to bring you on to talk about your opinions. That's what the show is all about. So as we wrap up, as a senator, when you get those special sessions, do you go, oh, another month? Or do you go, no, this is one I really want to go after?
Well, this one, it really needs to be fixed. When I voted no against this bill way back then, I kind of figured we'd be coming back trying to fix it.
Mm-hmm. So how's the governor feel about this? Is he?
I think he's on board with whatever the Supreme Court wants to do. I mean, he was only following judges' orders, for us to redistrict the way we did.
Yeah. It's so once again, let me just give the public a little information. We've got about a minute and a half left. It's a 3-week special session starting next week. It'll begin Thursday, October 23rd, and end no later than November 13th. What are these sessions like for you as a senator?
Well, it's about going in and doing business. You go in, get ready, get prepared, and make sure you do your homework. So make sure you vote correctly, and get it done, and get the people's business work. Get their work going in the right direction.
How long are those days for you?
It can get 18, hours average.
Wow.
Because you got to do a lot of investigating to make sure you're doing the right thing.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, Senator. With the world of phones and Skype and Zoom and everything else, keep us posted. We'll get you on every now and then and let us know what you're thinking. But thank you very much as we look forward to how Louisiana is going to blueprint for the nation what takes place. And we appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you taking time to listen.
All right. There you have it.
All right.
Senator Mike Fazee. And we're going to follow this as it goes through. And, of course, if I'm not on, Keith will be on, and Harry and Jacob will all be following this special session. So be tuned in to HTV. And don't forget, watch us on YouTube, and Facebook as we put all of our programs on that medium. We'll take a break. We'll have a lot more on Bayou Time. Don't go away. This segment was brought to you by Terrebonne Ford. Built Ford Tough.